The envelope arrived at Magnus Carlsen's hotel room at 3 a.m., slipped under his door by an unknown messenger. Inside was a single photograph. Ding Liren sitting in what appeared to be a high-tech laboratory, surrounded by computer screens and wearing a device that looked like advanced military equipment. On the back of the photo, a handwritten note. "This is what you're really fighting against. Meet me at the coordinates below if you want to know how deep this goes. Come alone, or the chess world burns." Magnus had 48 hours to decide whether to risk everything for the truth, knowing that the people behind Ding's cheating operation had already demonstrated they would kill to protect their secrets. Magnus stared at the photograph for hours, his mind racing as he tried to process what he was seeing. The image showed Ding Liren in a sophisticated laboratory, surrounded by computer screens displaying complex chess positions and probability calculations. Most disturbing was the device Ding was wearing, a sleek headband with multiple sensors and microtransmitters. This wasn't crude cheating technology. This was military-grade equipment that looked like it belonged in a science fiction movie. The coordinates led to an abandoned warehouse district on the outskirts of Oslo. Magnus knew he should contact authorities, should turn this evidence over to Inspector Mueller. But the note's warning echoed in his mind. Come alone, or the chess world burns. Whoever sent this photograph had access to information that could destroy professional chess entirely. Magnus hadn't slept since receiving the envelope. He'd analyzed every detail of the photograph, using magnification software to examine the laboratory equipment, the computer displays, even Ding's expression. What he discovered made his blood run cold. The computer screens weren't just showing chess positions, they were displaying real-time biometric data. Heart rate, brainwave patterns, stress indicators. This wasn't about helping a player choose better moves. This was about monitoring and controlling human cognitive processes during competitive play. The warehouse district was shrouded in fog when Magnus arrived at the coordinates. He'd taken every precaution, leaving detailed notes about his whereabouts, setting up automated messages to journalists if he didn't check in. But as he stepped into the eerily quiet industrial area, Magnus felt more alone than ever. The coordinates led to a loading dock behind a massive concrete building that appeared abandoned for years. Broken windows, rusted doors, weeds through pavement cracks. But Magnus noticed fresh tire tracks, recent cigarette butts, and a small security camera that definitely hadn't been there for years. "You came." The voice emerged from shadows near the loading dock. A figure stepped into moonlight, a woman, approximately 40, wearing dark clothing and carrying military-grade communications equipment. "I wasn't sure you would." "Who are you?" Magnus asked, his voice steady despite the adrenaline. "Dr. Sarah Chen, formerly of the Beijing Institute of Advanced Computing, currently a very concerned whistleblower." She approached slowly, hands visible. "I designed the technology Ding Liren has been using, and I'm going to help you expose what it really is." Magnus studied her face for deception. "Why should I trust you?" "Because 3 days ago, my former colleagues tried to have me killed." "Dr. Chen replied matter-of-factly. "And because if we don't stop this technology, every competitive intellectual sport will become meaningless within 5 years. She led Magnus through a side entrance into the warehouse, which was far from abandoned. The interior had been converted into a sophisticated electronics laboratory with computer workstations, signal analysis equipment, and a miniature version of the same technology shown in Ding's photograph. "This is where I've been working since escaping Beijing." "Dr. Chen explained, powering up terminals, reverse engineering the technology I helped create, documenting its capabilities, gathering evidence of worldwide tournament manipulation. The computers displayed bewildering data, tournament records, player statistics, signal analyses, and most disturbing, video footage of chess players worldwide wearing variations of the same device Magnus had seen in the photograph. The project began 7 years ago. Dr. Chen continued, pulling up a presentation. Originally funded as cognitive enhancement research for learning disabilities and brain injuries. But it became something much darker. The presentation showed technology evolution from simple learning aids to sophisticated manipulation devices. Early prototypes provided basic analytical support. Later versions were capable of direct neural intervention, actually influencing decision-making at the subconscious level. Ding Liren was our first successful test subject. Dr. Chen revealed, displaying brain scans showing dramatic neural activity changes. We told him it was experimental training to reach his full potential. We didn't tell him the device was gradually taking control of his strategic thinking. Magnus felt sick examining the data. You're saying he doesn't know he's cheating? That's the most insidious part. Doctor, Chen confirmed. The subject believes they're making their own decisions, experiencing their own insights. But the device subtly guides thought processes, leading them to conclusions that appear to be their own genius. She showed video footage of Ding playing in recent tournaments, with computerized analysis overlaying his movements and expressions. Watch his eye movements during critical positions. Notice how his gaze follows specific patterns corresponding exactly to optimal search algorithms used by strongest chess engines. This isn't conscious behavior. His brain has been trained to process information like computer analysis. The implications were staggering. If this technology could manipulate chess playing, what else could it control? Political decision-making? Financial markets? Military strategy? How many players are using this? Magnus asked. Dreading the answer, Dr. Chen pulled up a database that made Magnus's heart sink. According to internal records, devices have been deployed with 47 different chess players across 6 continents. Some are fully aware they're cheating and compensated handsomely. Others, like Ding, believe they're participating in legitimate cognitive enhancement research. The list included some of the most respected players in professional chess. Grandmasters Magnus had known and competed against for years, players whose games he had studied and admired, all potentially compromised by technological manipulation. But that's not the worst part. Dr. Chen continued, voice dropping to a whisper. The chess program was just testing. The real goal is deploying this technology in political and military contexts. Imagine subtly influencing world leaders during crucial negotiations, or manipulating military commanders during strategic planning. Magnus realized he was looking at evidence of potentially the most dangerous technological development in human history. Who's behind this? Who's funding the research? That's where things get complicated. Dr. Chen replied, showing organizational charts with webs of shell companies, international corporations, and government research facilities. Funding comes from multiple sources, but coordinating intelligence appears connected to advanced AI research programs spanning several countries. The scary part is that no single government or organization fully understands what they've created. She showed intercepted communications revealing the operation's scope. Chess was just one testing ground. Similar devices were being tested in poker tournaments, esports competitions, and academic research environments. Chess was chosen because it provides the perfect controlled environment for testing cognitive manipulation. Dr. Chen explained, clear win-loss conditions, extensive recorded data, and competitive structure that naturally conceals unusual performance improvements. Magnus studied device technical specifications, trying to understand how they'd gone undetected. Why hasn't tournament security caught this? Because the technology is designed to be completely undetectable using current security methods. Dr. Chen replied, showing detailed schematics. The devices use biological signal transmission. They communicate using patterns that mimic natural brainwaves and electrical impulses. To existing security equipment, they appear to be medical monitoring devices. She demonstrated how the technology worked using a simplified device version. When activated, it created a subtle electromagnetic field interfacing with the user's neural activity, providing enhanced intuition and analytical clarity. The subject experiences brilliant insights, Dr. Chen explained, but those insights are actually advanced computer analysis fed directly into subconscious cognitive processes. Magnus tried the device briefly and was horrified by how natural it felt. The enhanced analytical capability was so subtle he could easily believe it was his own improved thinking rather than technological assistance. This is terrifying, Magnus admitted, removing the device. If this feels natural, how can we prove they're cheating? That's exactly the problem. Dr. Chen confirmed. Traditional cheating detection relies on identifying external communication or unusual behavior patterns. But this technology creates cheating that appears completely natural because it's integrated with the subject's own cognitive processes. She brought up analysis that convinced her to become a whistleblower. Detailed study of Ding Liren's tournament performances over 3 years. The data showed impossible consistency in move quality, accuracy rates exceeding strongest computer engines in certain positions, and decision-making patterns perfectly matching advanced AI analysis. Ding's performance improvement wasn't gradual, as you'd expect from natural development. Dr. Chen pointed out. It occurred in distinct jumps corresponding exactly to technology upgrades. Magnus examined tournament data, cross-referencing with his memories of playing Ding during that period. In retrospect, there had been signs, moments when Ding found solutions that should have taken much longer to calculate. Games where his style seemed subtly different from historical patterns. The most damning evidence, Dr. Chen continued, is that Ding's performance degrades significantly in positions requiring intuitive or creative thinking rather than pure calculation. The device enhances analytical capability but can't replicate genuine human creativity or psychological insight. She showed comparative analysis of Ding's games, highlighting stark differences between his performance in tactical positions versus strategic or endgame situations, requiring emotional intelligence and long-term planning. That's why his games sometimes feel mechanically perfect but emotionally cold, Magnus realized. He's playing with computer-level calculation but without human understanding. Dr. Chen nodded grimly. And that's just one player. Imagine when this technology becomes widespread, when every competitive intellectual activity becomes a contest between different artificial intelligence versions rather than genuine human capability. Magnus spent hours reviewing Dr. Chen's evidence. Video footage of secret laboratory sessions, technical documentation, financial records showing payments to compromised players, and most damning, recorded conversations between project coordinators discussing expansion plans. The conversation that convinced me to contact you. Dr. Chen said, playing an audio recording that made Magnus's blood run cold. The recording featured two voices discussing the chess testing program. Ding's performance has exceeded all expectations. The cognitive integration is seamless. Excellent. Are we ready to move to the next phase? Almost. We need to neutralize the Magnus Carlsen problem first. His investigation into FIDE corruption has made him too dangerous to ignore. What do you recommend? We have a comprehensive plan. First, we'll discredit his evidence against Dvorkovich. Then we'll gradually introduce suggestions that Magnus himself has been using performance enhancement technology. By the time we're finished, he'll be seen as a hypocrite projecting his own cheating onto others. Magnus felt chilled realizing how carefully his enemies had planned his downfall. How long ago was this recorded? 3 weeks ago, Dr. Chen replied. Which means they've probably already begun implementing their plan to destroy your credibility. Magnus thought back to recent interactions with chess officials, journalists, and other players. Had there been subtle changes in how he was being treated? Conversations ending abruptly when he entered rooms? Questions about his preparation methods that seem more probing than usual? That's why you needed to see this evidence now. Dr. Chen continued, because once they succeed in discrediting you, no one will believe any accusations you make about technological cheating, no matter how solid the evidence. Magnus realized the full scope of the trap set for him. By exposing Dvorkovich's corruption, he had unknowingly declared war on a network far more sophisticated and dangerous than imagined. They weren't just trying to silence him, they were planning to turn him into a cautionary tale discouraging other players from asking difficult questions. What's their timeline? Magnus asked. Dr. Chen consulted her notes. According to intercepted communications, they plan to have your reputation destroyed within 2 weeks. They're going to release edited video footage appearing to show you using technological assistance during recent tournaments, along with fabricated financial records suggesting you've been paid to keep quiet about other players cheating. Magnus studied the technical analysis again, trying to absorb full implications. If we expose this publicly, won't they just deny everything and destroy evidence? That's why I've been preparing for months. Dr. Chen replied, showing an elaborate backup system. I've created multiple evidence copies, distributed them to secure locations worldwide, and established automated systems that will release everything publicly if anything happens to either of us. She brought up what appeared to be a dead man's switch, a sophisticated system that would automatically publish all evidence to major news outlets, chess organizations, and government agencies if she failed to check in at regular intervals. But publishing evidence is only the first step. Dr. Chen warned. The real challenge will be convincing people to believe it. This technology is so advanced it will seem like science fiction to most people, and the network behind it has been preparing counter-narratives for years. Magnus realized exposing this conspiracy would require not just evidence, but a carefully orchestrated campaign ensuring the truth reached the right people before it could be discredited or suppressed. I need to ask you something, Magnus said, looking Dr. Chen directly in the eyes. How do I know you're telling the truth? How do I know this isn't an elaborate setup designed to make me look paranoid or delusional? Doctor, Chen smiled grimly, because if I wanted to destroy you, there would be much easier ways. And because tomorrow morning, you're going to witness something that will prove everything I've told you. She handed Magnus a device that looked like a modified smartphone. This is a signal detector specifically calibrated to identify electromagnetic patterns used by cognitive manipulation devices. Tomorrow, at the European Rapid Championship, you're going to see exactly how many players are using this technology. Magnus examined the device, which displayed a sophisticated interface for detecting and analyzing electronic signals. How many do you think we'll find? Based on performance analysis and behavioral patterns, I estimate at least 12 players in tomorrow's tournament are using some form of cognitive enhancement technology. Doctor, Chen replied. But Magnus, once you see the scope of this conspiracy, you'll understand why they're so desperate to silence you. As Magnus prepared to leave the warehouse laboratory, Dr. Chen handed him one final piece of evidence, a thick folder containing detailed psychological profiles of compromised players, including analysis of how the technology had affected their personalities and behavior patterns. Read this tonight, she advised. It will help you understand what you're really fighting against. This isn't just about cheating in chess tournaments. This is about the potential enslavement of human consciousness by technology that most people don't even know exists. The next morning, Magnus arrived at the European Rapid Championship venue with Dr. Chen's signal detection device concealed in his jacket pocket. As players began arriving, Magnus discreetly activated the detector and was horrified by what he discovered. The device immediately registered signals from multiple sources throughout the venue. As Magnus moved through the player area, the detector indicated active cognitive enhancement devices being used by 14 different competitors. The signals were sophisticated and varied. Some players used full-scale cognitive manipulation technology, while others appeared to use simpler analytical assistance devices. Most shocking was realizing some affected players were people Magnus had known and respected for years. Grandmasters whose games he had studied, players he considered friends and colleagues, all unknowingly compromised by technology that had fundamentally altered their competitive capabilities. During the first round, Magnus used the detector to monitor signal patterns real-time. What he discovered was even more disturbing than anticipated. The technology wasn't just providing analytical assistance, it was actively coordinating between multiple users, creating a network of players whose moves were being influenced by the same central AI system. Magnus realized he was witnessing chess transformation from human intellectual pursuit into sophisticated puppet show, where players believed they were making independent decisions while actually being guided by artificial intelligence systems operating beyond their conscious awareness. That evening, Magnus met again with Dr. Chen to review collected data. The signal patterns confirmed her worst fears about the technological manipulation network's scope and sophistication. This is just the beginning, Dr. Chen warned as they analyzed tournament data. According to intercepted communications, there are plans to deploy this technology in political contexts within 6 months. Imagine cognitive enhancement devices being used to influence diplomatic negotiations, military strategic planning, or even electoral processes. Magnus realized what had started as chess corruption investigation had uncovered a threat to human autonomy and democratic decision-making extending far beyond any sport. There's something else you need to know, Dr. Chen continued, voice dropping to a whisper. During my research, I discovered references to historical testing going back much further than initially thought. There are indications that primitive versions of this technology may have been tested in major chess matches as early as the 1980s. Magnus felt a chill remembering Dvorkovich's cryptic reference to Garry Kasparov and questions about historical matches. What kind of testing? I found encrypted files suggesting certain high-profile matches from previous decades may have involved experimental cognitive enhancement technology. Dr. Chen replied carefully. If that's true, it means some of the most celebrated games in chess history might have been compromised by technological manipulation. Magnus realized exposing the current cheating network was only the first step in a much larger investigation that could potentially rewrite competitive chess history. Tomorrow, we go public with everything, Magnus decided. But first, I need to contact someone who might have answers about those historical matches. If Garry Kasparov has been asking questions about the past, he needs to know what we've discovered about the present. As Magnus prepared for what would become the most important press conference in chess history, he couldn't shake the feeling he was about to open a door that could never be closed again. The evidence of technological manipulation was undeniable, but the implications for chess, competitive sports, and human society were almost too vast to comprehend. The war for chess's soul was about to enter its most dangerous phase, and Magnus Carlsen was preparing to risk everything on a single, decisive revelation that would either save the sport he loved or destroy it.